What's up, guys? We are back with Week 4 NFL Thursday Night Football action. We are going to dive in and break down this matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants and see what kind of value we can find on the side and on the total. And we are going to do a deep dive on the player props for both games and also cover this short MLB slate. So buckle up, we have a great video for you today. If you want to win all of your bets this weekend, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in here every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content. You can now also sign up for a channel membership by clicking the little join button right below the video. Members get exclusive early access to all NFL and college football videos and get their names up on screen just like right now. I really appreciate all the support from you guys. Seeing that badge next to your comments absolutely warms my heart. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. This is one of the best times of the year to be in the mix with so many sports going on. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox and to track our new $100 to $10,000 challenge, which is going on right now. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into the Dallas Cowboys going on the road to take on the New York Giants in an NFC East showdown. Dallas comes into this game fresh off of back-to-back losses. They got their season off to a good start. Things were looking up, a 33-17 win there against Cleveland, but then they got absolutely dismantled by the Saints in week 2, 44-19 in a game that honestly wasn't even that close. Pretty embarrassing stuff in that one. We saw Dak get picked off twice, sacked 3 times. We saw Dallas continue to have zero running game, and possibly the most concerning thing was their lack of defense. They just could not stop the Saints through the air or on the ground. So pretty concerning there, and they were hoping to bounce back against Baltimore. Obviously a pretty tough matchup there. They ended up losing that game 28-25. They made it a lot closer there in the fourth quarter, scoring 19 in the fourth quarter, but man, not a good game at all there for the Cowboys. Pretty weak stuff. Dak clearly not happy. CeeDee Lamb making some pretty tough mistakes out there. Obviously a fumble. That kind of stuff is theoretically going to happen occasionally to wide receivers and to anybody that handles the football. But man, that was a really, really tough look. And the continuing absence of a running game, like who could have imagined signing Ezekiel Elliott in the offseason wasn't going to be a genius move by Jerry Jones? Like, you missed out on the Derrick Henry sweepstakes, moron. Like, this is obviously a huge, huge deal. You could have had one of the best running backs in the National Football League. Instead, you decided to sign somebody again that you've had in the past, decide to let go because he was way past his prime then. Like, what do you think you're going to get out of him now? Obviously not very much. Last week against the Ravens, he had 3 carries for 6 yards. And let's see, did he catch a pass in that game? Oh, he did. He caught 1 pass for 6 yards as well. Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott is washed. We are not very happy with that part of the Dallas Cowboys offense. And while the wide receiver group looks fine if CeeDee Lamb can hold on to the ball, things have been a little bit bleak. I mean, you're asking Dak to throw the ball 51 times a game. He only got sacked 3 times, so it seems like that offensive line is still going to be fine. I don't mind Dak calling out his teammates a little bit. Obviously, things need to be taken a lot more seriously. Some things need to change on both sides of the ball here for Dallas. The biggest concern for me is this defense. They got completely shredded by the Ravens running game last week. I'm not too worried about that, to be honest. That's going to happen to a lot of teams that go up against the Ravens. They are going to be a very, very tough team to even slow down the run against. Yeah, picking up Derrick Henry may be a good idea there, but nothing they can do about that now. The Cowboys definitely have to shore things up on defense. There's just no way around that. They're going to have to find a way to be better than they were. They struggled against Lamar Jackson's passing game. Like, the Ravens team doesn't even have any good pass catchers on the team. Like, this is definitely a concern, especially they're going to have to go up against Malik Neighbors in this game. So definitely some major reasons for concern right now in Dallas. Is the season over for this team? No, absolutely not. It is not over. Is it time to completely panic? Maybe not. Is it time to be looking really hard at the coaching situation? You could definitely convince me that's true. But winning against the Browns, okay, they're pretty bad. Losing to the Saints, who look very good this season, whatever, and then losing to Baltimore, a team that was in desperation mode and is going to be a very good team in my opinion this year. I don't think it's time to completely push the panic button, but Dallas does not have a lot of easy games coming up here. I mean, they face the Giants, and then they go to the Steelers, they face the Lions, and then they go to the 49ers, and the 49ers might be healthy at that point, so now is the time to figure it out. They need to put some wins on the board, even in what is not looking like the toughest NFC East. So we'll see what they can do. Historically, Dallas is a very good team against the Giants, and while these two teams are a lot closer in level than they were last year, I think this could be, the way this game is looking, maybe some guys are overreacting out there to what's going on. In terms of the injury report for the Cowboys in this game, the offense is completely healthy, no question marks even there. They're coming into this game at full strength, so it's time for this offense to really put up or shut up. It's not like they're going against the toughest defense or anything like that. This is definitely going to be the weakest defense that they've faced since week 1 going up against Cleveland, and theoretically at least the Giants should be a weaker defensive team than Cleveland, although kind of jury's still out on that a little bit. We'll find out. We're only 3 weeks into the season, so we'll find out about that. But on defense, Dallas needs to show drastic improvement, and they're not fully healthy. They're close, almost fully healthy. Carson, he's doubtful for this game. Having a corner out in this one, maybe not the best thing, since they're going to need multiple people to throw at neighbors out there, but I don't think that's the biggest deal. So a little bit of a concern, obviously not ideal, but I don't think that one guy being out for Dallas is going to be the end of the world. So now that we've broken down the Dallas Cowboys, let's take a look at what the Giants have done so far this year, guys. They come into this game fresh off of their first win of the year. They also beat Cleveland 21-15, a game that maybe not quite as close as the final score. Thank you to the Giants for coming through for us on that one. That was a nice win there, but their season started off tough. They were getting blown out by the Vikings. Then they lost against Washington in a really weird game that they should have probably won if they had anybody who could kick a field goal at all or extra points, and just like a whole mess. Like, you lost a game to a team that scored no touchdowns while you scored touchdowns. Like, it was such a weird thing. It's never happened before in the National Football League. So they figured things out a little bit there against Cleveland. They had to be very, very happy to get that going. It was the perfect spot for them, and we were very happy to be on the Giants and the points in that game. Coming away with that 21-15 win there, we saw Daniel Jones look much better, and that's his second week in a row looking all right out there. I mean, he passed for 236 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He only got sacked twice, so that's all very positive news. Not as productive as we would see him in years past in the running game. I mean, only 20 yards on 8 runs, but I think now teams kind of know to be aware of that more than they did back in the day. But it's very nice to see him not, giving the ball up. That was a huge problem for him over the course of his career. The Giants did lose 2 fumbles in that game. Neither one were by him. Singletary losing the ball there, obviously not great, but they come away with a 21-15 win, and they went into halftime with a nice lead there. So yeah, the fact they didn't score in the second half, definitely room for concern, and they had a hard time against Watson. But right now, guys, we're going to concentrate on the offense. Good things from Daniel Jones, good things from Devin Singletary in the running game. I mean, 16 rushes for 65 yards and a touchdown, not necessarily miracles, but he did catch 4 balls for 43 yards as well, and running backs that can also catch the ball out of the backfield, definitely a very helpful outlet there for Daniel Jones. And yeah, we've seen pretty solid numbers from him this season so far in terms of Singletary. I mean, obviously nobody on the Giants did anything good there in week 1, but week 2 he was fine, week 3 he was fine against Cleveland, so expecting him to at least give them some punch there in the running game, especially against a Dallas team that struggled to stop the run last week. And in terms of the wide receiver situation for the Giants, that's looking great, at least with their wide receiver number 1, Malik Neighbors, 78 yards on 8 receptions and 2 touchdowns in that game against the Browns. I expect the Giants to be doing everything they can to force feed him the ball. He's clearly by far their best option there on offense. Really nobody else stepping up in a major way. I mean, Robinson did some solid stuff, and Singletary is a dynamic back, but right now this just needs to be Daniel Jones getting the ball to Neighbors as early and as often as he can. You can let him try to make some plays down the field, sure, that's great, but you really have to concentrate on just getting the ball in his hands however you need to, and then letting him take over, because that dude is looking like a monster. So guys, in terms of the defense for the Giants, giving up 15 points to Cleveland, not a terrible performance, but they struggled a little bit even against the Deshaun Watson-led passing game, so that's a bit of a concern. They were good against the running game, but that doesn't really matter going up against the Cowboys, who are incapable of running the ball and don't really even try that hard to run the ball, which is kind of embarrassing, but whatever. You can't be trying to run the ball when you've got Ezekiel Elliott back there in a wheelchair. So yeah, very, very concerning stuff here for the Giants going up. Like, their secondary, yeah, it just doesn't really fill me with optimism there. And would they have won that game against the Browns if Deshaun Watson doesn't fumble the ball away twice? Like, lots of questions remain out there. They did have 8 sacks in that game. That was against Deshaun Watson. Do I see them sacking Dak Prescott 8 times? Absolutely not. So we'll see what we get from them on defense, guys. In terms of their injury report, the Giants are healthy outside of on offense, outside of Darius Slayton, who's questionable with a thumb issue. That makes me think he'll probably end up playing, but how effective can he really be? You're a wide receiver, kind of going to need those thumbs to work. On defense, Drew Phillips is officially out with his calf injury and missing a cornerback here. Kind of the same scenario we've got going on for the Cowboys right now. Missing a cornerback when you're going up against a team that is going to only want to pass the ball and has a couple, or at least one dynamic pass catcher in CeeDee Lamb. Not really ideal. So we've broken down both teams. Let's take a quick look at the weather for this game. Nothing too crazy out there. Low 70s, obviously. Not enough wind in this game to change anything. There's likely going to be some rain at some different points during this game, which is really only the weather factor that could matter, but I don't think it's going to be enough to cause really any disruption overall to this, to the flow of the game or anything like that. No major downpours are expected. So a little sprinkle, who really cares? That's going to be fine. In terms of the numbers for this one, guys, we've got the Giants at plus 5.5 in this one. We've got an over-under of 45.5. The Cowboys are 1-2 against the spread and 3-0 to the over this season. The Giants are 1-2 against the spread and 3-0 to the under this year. In terms of the side in this game, guys, we've got a couple trends to look at. First of all, divisional dogs on Thursday Night Football. So in this case, that would be those New York Giants. They are only 44.3% against the spread. So that's a bit of a concern. Obviously, on these Thursday night games, you kind of want to go towards the favorites, which feels weird. Obviously, it's a little counterintuitive in what you want to do overall, but you kind of want to go towards those favorites. And another trend, guys, the Cowboys are 3-0 to the over in 2024. Both teams are only 1-2 against the spread this season. Some more trends on the sides here. The Giants are 0-8 straight up in their last 8 Thursday night games. Obviously, that's just a straight up trend, but still something to take into consideration. Here's a big one, guys, and this one I like a lot. Dallas is 8-0 against the spread in their last 8 September games against NFC East opponents. They've been very, very dominant going up against teams in the NFC East over the last while. I know this isn't looking like the most dominant Dallas Cowboys team, but I think they're a little bit better than people are giving them credit for after kind of a rough start to the season. Also, guys, the Giants are 0-6 against the spread in their last 6 September games when facing NFC opponents. So generally speaking, guys, we are leaning on the side in this one against the spread. Well, against the spread and straight up, obviously. We're going to be on the Dallas Cowboys at minus 5.5. If you were really lucky and hopped on this super early, you could get it at minus 4.5. It might go up to minus 6. So you probably want to jump on that 5.5 as early as you can. It's already up to minus 6 at some places, but definitely going to want to be on the Dallas Cowboys in this game against the spread, in my opinion. In terms of the over-under for this game, guys, Dallas scored 40-plus points in each game against the Giants last season, and yeah, Dallas is way worse defensively this year, and the Giants' offense looking much better over the last couple of weeks. Neighbors obviously looking like an absolute monster out there. I think we're going to see plenty of points scored in this game. Generally speaking, we've always wanted to lean a bit towards the unders in these primetime games, but guys, I think this is also a very good over spot, so definitely going to be on the Dallas Cowboys at minus 5.5 in this one, and I'm going to be on the over. Both of those plays, guys, are going in that pinned comment where our highest confidence plays go. So those are ones that we're really leaning towards in this game. Let's go ahead and hop over and look at the props in this one. Props, I'm not going to claim to be a master at. These are more leans. These will not really be going in the pinned comment unless I see one that I absolutely love. So let's go ahead, jump in, look at a couple of these. Since we're thinking this is going to be an over game, guys, I think betting on the offensive props to be over seems pretty good and things like that. And one of the game props that I like, or two of the game props that I actually like a decent amount, are both teams to score here right off the bat. For the first Giants drive to end in an offensive score is plus 200. 2-1 on that seems very, very reasonable to me. Not impressed with what I've been seeing from this Dallas defense recently or this season in general. So go ahead and give me a little taste there on the Giants to score on their first offensive drive. And I also like Dallas to score on their first offensive drive as well. You can get that one at plus 105, and I think that's probably the better bet out of the two, even given the good odds there you can get on the Giants. But yeah, those are just small leans. Like I said, these props would be, guys, but I do think those are fairly reasonable spots. A lot of scoring early, and teams can script out those first drives. So I think that's very reasonable value. In terms of some player props here, I like Jake Ferguson at 45 plus receiving yards. You can get that one at even odds. He had a huge game against Baltimore. He had 95 yards and he only caught 6 of his 11 targets. So if we can get that number up a little bit more, I think he very easily gets over those 45 yards that he's going to need. What is that? 3, 4 receptions, maybe 5, and he's easily going to make it there. So I expect Jake Ferguson to easily get over that number unless they completely abandon him for some reason. I think that would be really, really weird. Another player prop that I like, Malik Neighbors, 80 plus receiving yards. You can get that at plus 125. This dude is getting an insane number of targets out there. He had 12 targets against Cleveland and 18 targets against the Washington Commanders, guys. He's getting, this is like an insanely high usage rate guy in the NBA. Like, this is a situation where you're going to want to back somebody that's getting the ball thrown to him all the time. And he's looking like a monster out there. And we have a Dallas secondary that's not at full strength. So yeah, I think he could have quite the crazy day. And there's also a very wild prop that I like a little bit in this one. It's Neighbors to record 150 plus receiving yards. You can get that one at plus 1,500, guys. A huge payout there if that one would hit. So yeah, obviously you only want to take a small flyer on that one, but I do think there is some chance that could happen in this game. A much more reasonable prop that I like Dak to get 275 plus passing yards. That one's at plus 120, so a pretty good price. Yeah, I mean, this is a big get right spot for the Dallas passing game, and they've got no running game out there, and he passed for 379 yards against Baltimore. They're just going to make him throw it a million times. They have to, since Dallas has no running game. So I think that one's some reasonable value. I also think you might want to take a look at Daniel Jones here at 200 plus passing yards. That one's minus 120, not as good of a price. The Dallas defense sucks. Neighbors are looking unguardable. They're very likely, in my opinion, to be losing in this game. So that makes them much more likely to be throwing the ball. So Daniel Jones getting over 200 passing yards, that one seems very reasonable. And I would honestly, if I was going to put any of these, any of these props in the pinned comment, it would probably be that one, because that just seems like a very reasonable spot to me. So that's all the leans I've got for you guys on the Thursday night football game. Let's go ahead and change gears here and jump into some MLB action. Things are really heating up as the playoffs approach. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and become a channel member for early access to all of our NCAA football and NFL videos. Now guys, back to the games. You're going to want to be checking back that pinned comment for these MLB plays, because here at the end of the year, we're seeing all kinds of pitching changes made. Pitchers are getting scratched, which is making me like scratch plays or switch to the other side of plays even. So definitely going to want to keep updated on that. We're also seeing a doubleheader here. It's being reported between the Mets and the Atlanta Braves. So yeah, not going to be able to break that one down too much, except for, we're hoping / assuming we'll see the same pitching matchup that we were supposed to see today. So if we see that, we'll probably be on that under once again. That was a game that got postponed yesterday, but we'll see. Go ahead, jumping into this one right now, guys. We've got the Milwaukee Brewers going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This one looking like a fairly meaningless game here. Not too much craziness here. Obviously, the Brewers still trying to, fight their way towards some sort of home field advantage in the playoffs, but right now they've pretty much got everything sewn up. They've had the NL Central sewn up for quite some time, and they've got quite the hill to climb there between the Dodgers and the Phillies, so they may not even have anything to play for in this game. The Brewers are going to be giving the ball to Aaron Savale in this one. He's 7-9 this season with a 4.53 ERA. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs in any of his last 5 starts, but he hasn't been particularly sharp out there. We'll see what he can do against a Pirates team that also doesn't have anything to play for right now. The last time he faced the Pirates was back in mid-July, and he was very good. 6 1/3 innings, 6 hits, only a single earned run in that game. So I would say I'm expecting decent, maybe not elite stuff from Savale in this game, and I'm always going to be expecting pretty good stuff from the bullpen here from the Brewers. I mean, they've been so good this year. Obviously, they're not, need to be running their bullpen guys out there and putting up a ton of innings, but they're going to want to use them, going to want to keep them sharp here down the stretch. In terms of their offense, the Brewers have been very good this season. Maybe not so hot down the stretch. I mean, they lost game 2 of this series 2-1, so clearly not super locked in, but they're 5th in the majors in runs scored and 9th in batting average this season. So we'll see what they can do against the Pirates. Obviously, a team that doesn't have anything to play for at 74 and 84 on the year. They're giving the ball to Mitch Keller in this game. He's 11-11 on the year with a 4.21 ERA. His last start, he got absolutely obliterated by the Cincinnati Reds, so we'll see if he can bounce back from that. I'm not exactly going to be holding my breath, though. The last time he faced Milwaukee was back in May, and he gave up 8 hits in 6 innings. Somehow didn't give up any runs in that game, but yeah, not the kind of start that's going to fill me with tons of optimism. And it was back in May, so how much can we really draw from that? The big problem for this pitching staff has been their bullpen. All year long, the bullpen has been terrible, and the offense, not amazing. They scored 2, 2, 2, and 1 runs over their last few games. This offense, real bad. 23rd in the majors in runs scored, 28th in slugging percentage, and they're looking even worse here down the stretch. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Brewers at -116, the Pirates at +102. We've got an over-under of 8 in this one. Milwaukee, 45-34 on the road. The Pirates, 38-41 at home. We've got both teams showing slight trends towards the over in this situation. Not super hyped about this game. Obviously, it's kind of tough to figure out what's going to happen with neither team really caring. I want to side with Milwaukee at only -116. I think they, want to stay sharp here, very close to heading into the playoffs. So maybe Milwaukee, maybe a little lean towards the under 8 in this game, but really not a ton of confidence in this one with neither team very motivated. Next up, guys, we got the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Royals won yesterday 3-0. Thank you there for figuring that one out. Lorenzen came out with what they're calling body fatigue, so I don't know what the deal is there, but the Royals are going to be handing the ball to Michael Wacha in this one, hoping he can help them, hold on here. They're currently tied with the Tigers for the last wild card spot there in the American League. Very, very cool stuff. It's such a close, exciting race there. Wacha comes into this game 13-8 on the year with a 3.28 ERA. His last start was against the Giants, 5 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and what was a 2-1 loss for the Royals. They've been really struggling offensively recently, but Wacha has been so good here down the stretch. We'll see what he can do against the Nationals. Not a team that he's faced yet this season, but this dude has been lights out this year. Expecting very, very good stuff from him. The bullpen for the Royals is a bit questionable, but they've been really good over the last few games. It seems like they're locking in here a little bit, so we're going to give them some credit despite the fact they've got a 4.30 bullpen ERA over the course of the season. The Nationals come into this game. They've lost 3 in a row. They haven't had anything to play for a long time. They've been losing a lot of games. There's been a little bit of controversy there with CJ Abrams getting demoted because of being out all night at a casino. I don't know what they really want from the dude. The season's over effectively, so I don't know. I would kind of say let him do what he wants at this point, but they're giving the ball to Patrick Corbin, who's 6-13 on the year with a 5.58 ERA. His last start, he got shelled by the Chicago Cubs, so that doesn't exactly bode well, and 2 out of his last 3 starts have looked awful. The one good one was against the Marlins, so yeah, got to take that one with a grain of salt. So we'll see what he can do here going up against the Royals. Not a team that he's faced this season, but not expecting miracles from him. Not somebody that's had a very good year, and the Nationals bullpen definitely trending in the wrong direction. A 4.14 bullpen ERA, far from optimal there. So yeah, just not really feeling it for this team. Obviously, the offense is not at full strength. They're 25th in the majors in runs scored this season, and they've scored 0, 0, 0, and 5 runs over their last few games. So not really expecting them to get after it here against Wacha or a motivated Royals bullpen or a motivated Royals team that desperately needs these wins. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Royals at -166, the Nationals at +145. We've got an over-under of 8.5 out there. We see the Royals 38-38 on the road, so not necessarily an amazing road team. Washington only 36-40 at home, so obviously better at home than they are on the road, but not that impressive of numbers if you ask me. We've got both teams here showing some trends towards the under. Under 8.5 seems very reasonable to me. The Royals are only 42-30-4 to the under on the road, and Washington is 38-33-5 to the under at home, and neither team swinging the bats super well at the moment. If you wanted to be very brave and take the Royals at -1.5, you can get them at around -105, +100, somewhere in that range. I don't think I'm quite brave enough to do that, guys, but I think we're very likely to take the Royals here at -166. I think they're just going to get these wins. I think they're going to be low scoring, so if you wanted to take under 8.5, that could make sense to me as well, but at some point this offense is going to break out and put up a huge crooked number out there, scoring 9, 10, 11 runs. So yeah, just go ahead and give me the Royals at -166 in the spot. Wouldn't blame you for doing -1.5. Also wouldn't blame you for taking that under. Next on the docket, guys, we've got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Detroit Tigers. The Rays took the 7-1 loss against the Tigers yesterday. So yeah, kind of dark days there for the Rays. It's been a rough season for them. They've been eliminated from playoff contention, so that's, obviously disappointing, but this isn't really a team that seems like it was built or destined to be playing in the playoffs this year. The offense just has been too bad. I mean, they've only scored 2 runs over their last 2 games. They're giving the ball in this one to Tyler Alexander, and while he's got a fantastic mustache, I'm not really sure he's cut out to be a starting pitcher, although his last outing, it was a start. He's been a bullpen guy primarily, but last outing was a start against Toronto, 4 1/3 innings, 2 hits, no runs allowed, and he struck out 6. So we'll see if he can replicate that here against a Tigers team that obviously is in desperation mode. Obviously, the Tampa Bay bullpen has been pretty good, and we are a little bit, it was back in April April, but Alexander did get banged up by the Tigers back then, so we'll see if that has any bearing on this. I'm not really going to be taking that too much into account. The Rays offense is the big problem here, guys. I mean, only 2 runs over their last 2 games, not having a good time against the Tigers or against the Tigers bullpen. So yeah, I mean, 29th in the majors in runs scored. There's a reason this team has struggled this year, and it's primarily been that lack of offense. So we'll see what they can do here against the Tigers team that's won 4 in a row. They have to be in desperation mode now, tied with the Royals there coming down the stretch. Very, very crazy stuff in that wild card race in the American League. They're coming off a game they scored 7 runs, so that has to feel great. They're giving the ball to Reese Olson in this game. This young 25-year-old going out there in a high-pressure situation. He's 4-8 on the year with a 3.49 ERA. His last start, he only lasted 3 innings, and he's really not a guy that goes very deep into these games. He went 2 innings against Toronto, he went 2 1/3 against the Royals, and he went 3 against Baltimore. So maybe they're ramping him up a little bit, but he is a guy that gets lots of run support. I mean, yeah, every time he's out there, it seems like they're putting up some pretty decent numbers at the plate for him. So we'll see what he can do here going up against the Rays. Obviously not a very hard-hitting team, and how concerned do we have to be if he comes out of this game early? Well, Detroit's been one of the better bullpens in the majors this season. A 3.60 bullpen ERA has them currently 4th, so that's not a huge concern, and the offense has been figuring things out, which is a huge boost for this team that struggled at the plate this season, generally speaking. They've scored 7, 2, 4, and 6 runs over their last few games. Tyler Green figuring stuff out. They're up to 19th in the majors in runs scored, 24th in batting average, so not great season-long numbers, but they seem to be getting the hits here down the stretch when it matters. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Rays at plus 122, the Tigers at minus 144. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Tampa Bay 36-40 on the road, Detroit 40-36 at home. We've got both teams showing some trends here towards the under, and they're fairly decent trends. I do think we like the Tigers to win this game at minus 144. I don't know if I like it enough to put it in the pinned comment. I would lean more towards taking them under 8 as well. I think that's reasonable in this spot, but maybe not amazing considering the starters that we've got on the mound, and we're going to see a lot of bullpen action, but both bullpens have been so good. So yeah, this game, kind of a tough spot for me. If you wanted to just go ahead and take the Tigers at minus 144 to win this one, I would fully understand that, but I'm not sure if this is going to make it into the pinned comment. I'd say it's got a chance. Next on the docket, guys, we got the Los Angeles Angels going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. The Angels lost again, guys. They've now lost 2 in a row to the White Sox to fall to 63-95 on the year. They're giving the ball to Tyler Anderson in this one. He's been their best starter this season, 10-14 on the year with a 3.70 ERA, but he's not been nearly as good down the stretch. He got shelled by the Astros his last time out, so we'll see if he's got anything left in the tank, if he really cares about anything here at the end of the season. I mean, going up against a team like the White Sox seems like the perfect get-right spot, but not somebody that I've been able to trust here down the stretch. And the Angels bullpen has also been bad this season. They've been a bit better here in the last, 30 or so games, 20 or so games, something like that, but not a bullpen that I'm super interested in backing. And the offense as well has been terrible, guys. 3, 2, 9, 4, and 7 runs over their last few. Honestly, that's decent production for an Angels team that's 27th in the majors in runs scored and 28th in batting average, batting only .229 as a team right now. So yeah, not a lot of great things to say about the Angels. Obviously not going to be a lot of amazing things to say about the White Sox, although they seem very, very desperate to avoid losing that, additional game. They're still at 120 losses. They're going to be giving the ball to Chris Flexen in this one. He's 2-15 on the year with a 5.15 ERA. His last time on the mound, it was against the Padres. 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs. So not the best stuff, but he's had some decent starts over his last 5. To be honest, that last one was his worst outing, so maybe he'll be able to give him a chance. We'll see what he's done against the Angels so far this season, if he's faced them, and it appears that he has not gone up against the Angels this year. So yeah, not super sold on Flexen here. Also not super sold on that White Sox bullpen. A 4.82 ERA coming out of the pen is not great, but they've been a bit better recently. The problem for this team this season has been their lack of offense, but that hasn't really mattered in this series. I mean, yeah, 4 and 3 runs respectively, and they've won both of those games. So seems like they're very, very determined out there at least. So looking at the numbers for this one, we've got the Angels at minus 142, the White Sox at plus 120. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. The Angels 31-48 on the road. The White Sox, they're the worst home team in the MLB, 21-58 at home. We've got some trends here towards the under for the White Sox, 45-31-3 to the under at home, and I'm not confident enough to take the White Sox at plus 120 in this game. If you're forcing me, that's the slight side that I'm leaning to, but I think under 8 is for sure the play in this game. It's honestly looking like possible to end up in the pinned comment right now because neither team can really hit the ball. We've got 2 starters out there that I honestly expect to do well. I think Anderson will bounce back here a bit, and I think Flexen has honestly not been throwing the ball terrible here down the stretch, so give me under 8 in this one. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road here to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Cardinals come into this game winners of 4 in a row. Really nice to see this team all of a sudden winning games when it doesn't matter anymore. They're giving the ball to Kyle Gibson, who's 8-8 on the year with a 4.13 ERA. His last start was against Cleveland. He wasn't great. 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs. 3 of them were earned, and he gave up 2 home runs in this game. This has been one of the disappointing additions for the Cardinals this year that didn't really pan out. Unfortunate to see him not have a better season there for the Cardinals fans. The last time he took on the Rockies, he went 6 innings, gave up 8 hits, and 3 earned runs in a 6-5 Cardinals loss. That was back in early June. So not going to take that a ton into account, but we will take into account how good the Cardinals bullpen has been this year, guys. A huge surprise, at least for me. They are 6th in the majors right now, a 3.62 bullpen ERA. So very good stuff there. And the offense has been a bit better recently, 5, 7, 2, and 6 runs over their last few games, but not a great offensive team this year. 24th in runs scored and 21st in slugging percentage. Goldschmidt and Arenado having bad seasons really kind of sunk the ship the rest of the way here for the Cardinals. So we'll see what they can do here going up against the Rockies, who have now lost 3 in a row. They've been out of the mix for quite some time. They're giving the ball to Kyle Freeland, who's 5-8 this year with a 4.95 ERA. His last start was against the Dodgers. At the Dodgers, guys, 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs. Really not a terrible start against a team as good as the Dodgers. So we'll see what he can do out there going up against the Cardinals. Obviously not the hardest hitting team. He hasn't faced them yet this season, so kind of a new look out there might benefit him a little bit. The bullpen for the Rockies has been terrible this year, guys, though. Worst in the majors, a 5.36 bullpen ERA, abysmal, and the offense hasn't been much better. I mean, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 4 runs over their last few games. Despite getting to play half their games at Coors Field, barely, not even above average in any of the major categories. So not really an offense that we're super scared of. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we've got the Cardinals at -118, the Rockies at +110. We've got an over-under of 10.5 in this one. The Cardinals are 36-40 on the road. The Rockies are 36-38 at home. We've got both teams showing trends towards the under in this spot, and both games so far in this series have hit the under. We've got a number of 10.5 out there, so I would not blame you for going under once again. I don't have the most faith here in Kyle Gibson, but the Cardinals bullpen is really, really good, and even if he gives up like 4 runs, I don't expect the Cardinals to score a ton of runs here off of Freeland, so I think the under is the play in this game. You could also talk me into possibly taking the Rockies at +110, but I'm not really too interested in the side, guys. I think the play in this one is the under. Next on the docket, guys, we are looking at the Texas Rangers going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. The Rangers and A's are currently playing right now with the Rangers up 5-1 in the top of the 6th inning, so looking pretty likely to get that win. They're finishing off their season strong despite being eliminated from playoff contention. They're giving the ball to young rookie Kumar Rocker. He's out there. He's 0-1 on the season with a 2.57 ERA. His first couple of starts as a big leaguer, though, have gone all right. I won't say they've gone incredible, but yeah, his first one against Seattle, 4 innings, only 1 earned run, and then his start against Toronto, 3 innings, 1 earned run in that one as well, but he walked 4. Didn't seem like he had all of his control in that game. So I'm honestly expecting very good stuff from him. I think he'll bounce back here and look very good. The bullpen is a concern for the Rangers. I mean, a 4.59 bullpen ERA is obviously atrocious, and one of the reasons this team has struggled so much, but right now it seems like the bats are coming back alive here at the end of the year, which is obviously going to be pretty frustrating for the Rangers fans for a team that scored 645 runs this year. That's 21st in the majors. They were 22nd in batting average, batting only .238 as a team. We've obviously seen Corey Seager miss a good amount of time. He's been out for the year here for a bit. He's their best hitter. He hit 30 home runs. Like, this could have been a very good year for him if he could have stayed healthy. So yeah, kind of a wasted season for the Rangers here as they go up against the A's, who come into this game obviously not having a great time. Yeah, this athletic situation is really just terrible. Just a terrible situation for the fans and the organization. All that steps need to be taken right now, but they're giving the ball to JT Ginn in this game. He's 0-1 on the year with a 4.40 ERA. His last start was very good against the Yankees. 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and what eventually was a loss, and we've seen the A's lose his last 3 starts, including a start where he got shelled by the Chicago White Sox, so that's not exactly a great look. We'll see what this young guy looks like against the Rangers' hot bats in this one, and we'll all see what that A's bullpen looks like. They've been good at different points this year, but not exactly killing it at the end of the season with a bullpen ERA of nearly 4, and the offense hasn't been amazing here down the stretch. I mean, they've got some time to make it some ground in their current game, but it's not looking great, and over the course of the year, outside of Brent Rooker, this has been a very bad offense. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Rangers at -110, the A's at -106. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. The Rangers are not a good road team, but doesn't seem to be mattering right now. They're also an over team on the road, and Oakland, not a great home team, 37-42 at home. Seems like a season that's going to end kind of in a sad way for them. So, yeah, guys, I'm leaning towards the Rangers at -110 pretty hard in this game. I do like Kumar Rocker out there. I think he's going to have a good start. I think he's just going to get better here. And, yeah, I'm just expecting good stuff from him and for those Rangers bats to stay hot against a young starter for the A's that I don't have very much faith in. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the New York Yankees. The Orioles got the 9-7 win yesterday in a kind of a barn burner of a game that prevented the Yankees from clinching the AL East. But, yeah, it's going to take a lot here down the stretch for Baltimore to keep that up. They're giving the ball in this one to Corbin Burns, who's 15-8 on the year with a 2.95 ERA. His last time out, guys, he was very good against Detroit. He was very good against Detroit 2 starts in a row, actually, and this dude has just been lights out over his last 5. Very, very elite stuff. Not like he's been taking on the toughest opponents, though, so got to take that at least a little bit into account. He hasn't faced the Yankees since the 1st of May, guys, and he was good in that start, but that's been so long ago. How much can we really take from that? The major concern here for Baltimore, usually in terms of their pitching staff, is their bullpen, a 4.12 bullpen ERA. Maybe a little bit better here down the stretch, but not a bullpen that I've got a ton of faith in. The offense might be coming back alive, scoring 9, but yeah, a little bit. I mean, 9, 5, 3, 4, 7, 5. Like, this isn't a team that's putting up 10-plus runs all the time. Like, this was looking like an incredible offense early in the year with insane power numbers, but things have tailed off here a little bit towards the end of the year. So we'll see if they can pick back up here going up against the Yankees, who come into this one losers of 2 in a row now, but they're chilling at this point, kind of. I mean, seems very likely they're eventually going to just go ahead and clinch that American League East, spot. But yeah, technically still don't have it clinched, and they're tied with 92 wins each with the Guardians. So definitely a race still going on there for the home field advantage. That's obviously a very big deal. So we'll see what Cole can do out there. His last start, he went 9 innings against the Oakland A's back on the 20th. So yeah, obviously an extremely extended start for him. Very surprised to see them leave him out there for that long, to be honest. And we'll see what he can do against Baltimore. Cole's had a weird season to say the least, but the last time he faced Baltimore, guys, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, and that was back in July, so not that long ago technically. So we'll see what we get from him. We'll see if the Yankees bullpen can continue to be so good, and we'll see if their bats can stay hot, although 7 runs was not enough yesterday. So we'll see what happens. Looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Orioles at +110, the Yankees at -130. We've got an over-under of 8 in this game. Baltimore 43-33 on the road, the Yankees 42-34 at home. We've got both teams showing trends towards the over in this spot, but with 2 aces on the mound, do we really want to be playing an over in this game? I would lean more towards under 8, with both offenses maybe cooling off a little bit here and both starters having a reasonable time on the mound. In terms of the side in this game, it's a little bit tough to call, guys. I would lean probably towards the Orioles at +110 in this matchup of aces, and with Cole coming off of a start that was so extended, we could see some arm fatigue here. So yeah, go ahead and give me the Orioles at +110 and a little bite of that under, but generally speaking, this is a stay away spot for me. Next up, guys, we've got the Miami Marlins going on the road to take on the Minnesota Twins. The Marlins come into this game fresh off a loss there in Game 2 of this series. They lost 8-3. This is a team that's been way out of the mix forever. They're giving the ball to Volante Belazzo, who is 3-4 this season with a 3.82 ERA. His last start was against Atlanta. He wasn't terrible out there. 5 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, but obviously not great. He hasn't given up more than 3 earned runs over any of his last 4 starts, but it's not like he's been facing a very tough opposition out there. So we'll see how he looks against Minnesota. I'm not going to be holding my breath for a great start from this 24-year-old, but he's also not terrible out there. What is terrible right now is that Miami bullpen, a 4.24 bullpen ERA, really bad. They have not been a good bullpen team here down the stretch, and yeah, definitely concerns there, and concerns about the offense. They've scored 3, 4, 4, 2, and 4 runs over their last few games. They're 28th in the majors in runs scored, 29th in on-base percentage. This just really isn't a team that you can trust up there at the plate at all. So we'll see what they can do here against a very desperate Minnesota team that, yeah, got that win there to snap a 3-game losing streak. They're 2 games back now in the wild card race, 2 games back of both the Tigers and the Royals. So gonna be a tough situation for Twins. They're gonna need to win out and hope for some help here. Pretty much, they're giving the ball to David Festa, who's 2-6 this year with a 4.80 ERA. This young 24-year-old definitely a pressure situation here. His last start was at Fenway, 5 innings, 4 hits, only a single earned run in that one. Honestly, his last 2 starts have been very good, not going super deep into games, and that does put some pressure on the Twins bullpen. That's not great. A 4.13 bullpen ERA this season is a bit of a concern to, have them out there for 4+ innings, but we'll see how that goes. The offense obviously came alive yesterday when they most needed it, scoring 8 runs, but they have not been hitting the ball well down the stretch here. I mean, 12th in runs scored, 12th in batting average on the season, but they've been much, much worse than that here down the stretch. They scored 8, 1, 3, 1, 4, and 2 runs over their last few. So looking at the numbers for this game, we've got the Marlins at plus 205, the Twins at minus 220. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this one. Miami 28 and 48 on the road. The Twins are 42 and 34 at home. We've got mixed trends here towards the over-under, with Miami being the biggest under team in the majors when playing on the road. They're 46, 28, and 2 to the under. Guys, I would lean more towards the under in this game, possibly, but generally this isn't a spot that I love. I would say you probably want to be on the Marlins at plus 205. Honestly, I don't trust Festa. I don't trust that Twins bullpen, but I also don't trust the Marlins, and this one's not going anywhere near the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we got the San Diego Padres going on the road to take on the LA Dodgers. The Padres come into this game. Well, the Padres and Dodgers are playing right now in a barn burner, maybe not a barn burner, a very intense game, though. It's tied up at 3 apiece in the top of the 5th inning. So we'll see how that one ends. The Padres really putting all the pressure on the Dodgers here in that insane race out there. I mean, it's been fun to watch things develop here in the NL West. Very cool stuff. The Padres going to be handing the ball to Joe Musgrove in this game. He's 6-5 this year with a 3.95 ERA. His last start, he was lights out against the White Sox, but it was the White Sox. Start with that lights out against the Giants. We'll see how he can do. 4 out of his last 5, or 3 out of his last 4 at least, have been elite starts, but we got to see what he's done against the Dodgers this season, and he hasn't faced them since like the very beginning of the year, so not a lot that we can draw on there. In terms of their bullpen, the Padres have been much better down the stretch this season. Been impressive to see them remake that bullpen and get above average, but I wouldn't say elite. The offense has been good down the stretch, but I also wouldn't say insane, although they've been playing some very high-intensity games here against the Dodgers. So 9th in the majors in runs scored, 1st in batting average. This is not a team that you really want to be facing up there at the plate. So we'll see what they can get done here going up against the Dodgers, who are obviously trying to win the NL West. They're giving the ball to Walker Buehler in this game, which has to be pretty scary. The dude is 1-6 this year with a 5.63 ERA. His last start was against the Rockies. He did not have a good time. 5 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs in a 6-3 loss there for the Dodgers. So yeah, a little bit concerning. He's had some good starts mixed in with the bad here down the stretch, but yeah, just not somebody that I have a ton of confidence in. I mean, his last start against the Padres was back in May, and he got shelled over 3 1/3 innings. So definitely a concerning spot here for the Dodgers, whose bullpen has even been looking a little bit hittable down the stretch. A 3.63 bullpen ERA, not as good as they were. They were hovering around 3 for a while, and things have taken a bit of a turn. The offense also maybe not quite as elite here down the stretch, which is obviously a bit concerning. I mean, Ohtani doing his thing, all that kind of stuff, but they just haven't been getting that many runs across the plate. They're 2nd in runs scored, 5th in batting average. Those are all season-long numbers, so we'll see what they can put up here. And looking at the numbers for this one, guys, we got the Padres at plus 105, the Dodgers at minus 118. We've got an over-under of 8.5 out there. The Padres are 45 and 30 on the road. Very good road team. The Dodgers are a great home team, though. No big shock there. We've got mixed trends towards the over-under. In this game, I would honestly lean a bit towards over 8.5. I think that's very reasonable given the pitchers we're going to have on the mound. And in terms of the side, I would lean towards the Padres at plus 105. I think they even have a slight starter, edge in terms of the starter in this game, and they're just as good offensively. So in a coin flip game, I'm definitely going to be leaning towards the plus number. And the pitcher that, I think is worse in this matchup is probably Walker Buehler, but kind of tough to tell. So this one probably won't be going in the pinned comment, but I do like the Padres and the over a little bit. Last but not least, guys, we're going to take a quick look at this Mets-Atlanta Braves situation. You're going to have to be checking back on the pinned comment to find out who I like in these games, because we have very little information out right now. If we see the same starters that were scheduled to start yesterday start in this one, I'm probably going to trend to lean a little bit towards the under, but everything's been very thrown off kilter by this postponement. So guys are not going to be in their normal, by guys, I mean Chris Sale, not going to be in their normal, routine leading up to a start. So that's very concerning. Not going to be able to give you a real lean in this one. Even the numbers aren't really quite out for this. So we'll find out, and definitely check that pinned comment, see if either of these doubleheader games make it in there. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.